Hey guys, welcome back. This is the story of what if Deku became a villain. Copyright disclaimer, I do not own this fanfiction in any way possible. Information about the author and this fanfic is in the description. Now without further ado, let's start the story. It has been 3 months and all Stain has been making me do is strength training. I want to learn something, thought Midoriya as he was doing the workout plan Stain gave him. It wasn't an easy workout either, it exhausted and left Midoriya dead every time no matter how many times he did the workout. However, due to the ointment Stain made it relieved his bones in 2 hours and he was able to start his training again bypassing the limits of the body. Midoriya however has since then perfected the ointment and got the time down to 1 hour. Midoriya was sitting in the room that had all the exercise equipment applying some of his ointment. He had just finished his set when Stain came in. Hey kid, you better not be slacking on the training, Stain said in a commanding voice. I'm not, I just finished actually, responded Midoriya. He was about to ask Stain about his real training when Stain spoke. Put this on, we're going out, Stain said as he threw a costume that looked exactly like the one he drew in his notebook. However, instead it was black and had gray stripes and his gloves were also gray. I took the liberty of looking in your notebook. I had a feeling you had a costume in there. However, I changed the colors and some other things too. Mostly the colors. I can't have you wearing green, you would stick out like a sore thumb. As for the ears, I got rid of them, it makes you very easy to grab in a fight, so now it's just a hood, explained Stain as he handed him the gloves and a black metal face mask. Midoriya was excited, he finally had his very own costume. Even though Stain changed a couple things, he was happy regardless. Sorry we didn't go out sooner kid, but I couldn't get you out there without training your body first, Stain explained. Midoriya was changing in the other room. Midoriya looked at himself in the mirror. He hadn't noticed before, maybe due to the fact he was so into his training, but his body was completely transformed. Midoriya had a very clear six-pack along with strong toned muscles. Midoriya looked at himself one more time in the mirror, amazed that the body before him was his own. Alright, how is it? Asked Midoriya as Stain looked up while putting knives in his holsters. Glad I got the right size, replied Stain as he finished up getting ready. Alright, let's get out of here, said Stain. Midoriya was anxious to finally learn some techniques from Stain. Hey, where are we going? Asked Midoriya as he was walking next to Stain. We are going to this rooftop, said Stain as he pointed towards the building. We are going to start honing your movement, awareness, and fighting ability, explained Stain as they both reached the rooftop. I won't be holding your hand, Deku. Whether you live or die now solely depends on you now, said Stain calmly as he looked ahead towards the other rooftops. Midoriya was surprised he called him Deku, but that was the name he had chosen to be called. I know you like your notes too, so I added a voice recorder in your mask so you can listen to them later. There is a knob on the right side, just twist and push and it will record your voice, Stain said as he leapt towards the other building. Midoriya quickly turned the knob and pressed the button. He was ready to record Stain's movements and analyze them later. Midoriya looked down from the edge of the building to see the ground beneath them. He took a deep breath. Here goes nothing, he said as leapt towards the other building, and to his surprise he made the jump. Not as smooth as Stain, but he made it. I guess all that exercise is paying off, Deku said as he began to follow Stain, who was way ahead but just visible enough to be able to record his movements. Alright, I can do this, thought Midoriya as he quickly hopped towards the next building. That entire month Stain focused on movement training, where he showed Midoriya how to use the terrain to his advantage as well as how to keep his balance. He also taught him how to maneuver with tricky terrain. Midoriya was catching on to the training quickly. Soon enough he was able to follow right behind Stain. After that month they began awareness and how to predict and dodge fast-moving objects. Midoriya, being extremely observant while also being a quick thinker, had no trouble with this part of the training, which amazed Stain since it took him almost 4 months to get to ＤISCLAIMER level. Midoriya was able to dodge Stain's knives being thrown at him at almost 95 miles per hour. However, Midoriya did get some really bad cuts. Stain never aimed for vitals, but he didn't hold back. Next came fighting. Alright Deku, get dressed in your costume. These next few months will be the most important ones, said Stain as he waited at the door. I've been waiting for this, said Midoriya as he walked towards the door. I'm going to teach you my fighting style, but feel free to change it up any way you like. Also, I don't know how to hold back, so be prepared, said Stain. I guessed as much, Midoriya said jokingly as he stared at an ugly scar in right hand and then put on his glove. Jesus, barely dodged that one, thought Midoriya as he barely dodged Stain's blade. He's a monster as usual and I can never predict what he will be doing next, Midoriya thought as his blade collided with Stain's. Midoriya had a fairly large blade but not long enough to be considered a sword. However, unlike Stain's crooked and unkept blade, his was refined and well kept and made of tungsten, a much stronger metal. Stain quickly threw a knife in Midoriya's direction, where he instantly dodged, but it put him exactly where Stain wanted him as he stabbed him in the leg. Midoriya grunted at the blade piercing his skin. In that moment Midoriya instincts finally emerged. His face went emotionless and he snatched one of Stain's throwable knives and stabbed him multiple times in the arm holding the sword. "Son of a," shouted Stain as he loosened his grip on the sword. Midoriya was conscious of what was happening but not in control of his body. He quickly snapped out of his trance and Stain followed up with a sucker punch to Midoriya's face, knocking him out and ended the fight. 2 hours later, Midoriya woke up in one of Stain's many hideouts, still a little woozy from the punch. "Jesus, this guy really is insane," Midoriya thought as he looked at his left leg that was now stitched up. "You think too much when you fight," Stain said, breaking the silence as he was sitting in an armchair stitching up his right arm in the corner of the room. "Explain," demanded Midoriya as he kept staring at his leg. "Don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with thinking ahead, but when fighting someone who is full of pure instinct and raw fighting ability or an extremely fast quirk, you have to use your own instincts to fight back. However, most of these people only rely on just that instinct alone and or their quirk and think that alone will win them the fight. If you can think ahead while also using your instincts, you will win every single fight, I guarantee you," explained Stain. Midoriya sat up. "Is that what I experienced when we were fighting?" asked Midoriya as Stain looked up. "Yes, that's right, however you lost complete control of your own body," explained Stain as he finished up stitching his last cut. "Don't worry, in time you will learn how to control it and use it while still being able to control your own body," Stain said as he applied some of the improved ointment Midoriya had made. "Wait. Did you bring my video cameras, the ones I set up when we were fighting?" clamored Midoriya. He had set up cameras beforehand so he could learn and observe his fights with Stain. "Yeah, I got them," he pointed towards a handful of CDs. Right next to them were a small cabinet full of all the fights he's had with Stain, each with a date and number. It's hard to believe they have been fighting for 3 months straight and just now he's landed a solid blow on Stain. Unlike Midoriya, who was now full of cuts all over his body. "I'm going to get stronger and I'll beat you," stated Midoriya as he looked at Stain. "Well then we'll just have to wait and see about that, Deku," responded Stain. It's been 8 months since Midoriya Izuku has gone missing and there still hasn't been any clues as to where his body may be or where he could have gone. It's like this kid jumped and vanished into thin air. Naomasa pondered while going through Midoriya's case file. "Naomasa, we need you in the conference room," said Kenji Surigami as he walked out the door. Kenji Surigami was the chief of police. He was also part man, part dog. "Yes sir," said Naomasa as he put Izuku's file in his personal folder. "Okay everyone, I have good news and bad news," said the chief. He walked towards the front of the room standing next to a board full of threads, photos and a map of the city and many other provinces. "The good news is Naomasa Tsukachi will be joining this investigation," stated Kenji as he signaled Naomasa to the front. "Thank you for having me," he said as he bowed in respect to the other detectives and police officers. "Now then, with that out of the way, let's get down to the bad news. Stain, the hero killer, has been absent for almost 9 months now. As we recall, he was last seen around this part of town," said Kenji as he pointed towards a big red circle on the map and multiple photos on the board showing the streets. "As far as we know, he just vanished ever since then and there hasn't been any missing pros or attacks," explained Kenji as he looked around the room. "How is this bad news, sir?" a policeman asked. "It's bad news because we have no clue as to what he's planning or doing at this moment in time, and the less we know the more dangerous this situation becomes," Kenji explained to the policeman as he began to jot down notes. "And the families of the heroes he's killed deserve justice for what he's done," Kenji said as he began to review all the information they had on the hero killer ever since his appearance. "That will be all. Remember to stay alert," Kenji concluded as he handed a file to Naomasa. "This is a copy of all the information we have on this case. Thank you for helping us, Naomasa," said Kenji as he shook his hand. "It's my pleasure, Chief," responded Naomasa. "The entrance exam is in a couple of months," said Bakugo as he was walking home to school. As he was walking home, he noticed a familiar woman. Inko Midoriya was handing out flyers of her missing son to passerbys. "That useless shit is still missing, huh?" Bakugo said annoyingly in his head. Until now he told himself Midoriya had just switched schools, but that is what he told himself to avoid feeling guilty. "Nerd probably ran away and tried to become a vigilante or something," Bakugo said. He couldn't help but laugh at the thought Midoriya helping anyone. "Oh, I old hag, I am home," shouted Bakugo as he walked upstairs to his room. "Okay," responded his mother. Bakugo pulled out his weights and began to work out. He wanted to get ready for the entrance exam. "Stupid Deku. Do you think this will faze me? You did not become anything and I'm going to be the most famous and rich hero who ever lived. You were always a pebble, nothing more. I will become the best there is and you can just watch and see how weak you really are." Bakugo grunted as he was doing his reps. 2 months later, Midoriya dodged Stain's katana as he jumped on Stain's shoulders and pushed himself off doing a backflip to create some space. Midoriya was on an entirely different level than when he first started fighting Stain. Stain dashed towards him at incredible speed and Midoriya did the same, but he went over Stain's head and in one swift motion cut his back. No words were exchanged as he quickly ignored the cut and pulled out a throwing knife and threw it towards Midoriya's face. In response, Midoriya, instead of dodging, grabbed the blade in midair and threw it back. Much to Stain's surprise, he flinched at the action and dodged just in time. Midoriya could now control his killer instinct and was able to think clearly. Midoriya saw Stain was disoriented at his most recent move, so he went in for the decisive blow as he dashed towards him with his blade in hand, just stopping before his neck. I yield, said Stain out of breath as he fell on his back looking towards the ceiling. He had never gone up against anyone as fast as him in a long time. I win, Midoriya said as he fell on his bottom. He couldn't help but feel powerless, however. You could have one, you know. With your quirk blood curl, Midoriya said in a defeated tone. Stain could paralyze his enemies by licking their blood. If it wasn't for training me, I would lose every single time, explained Midoriya as he looked at all the old cuts all over his arms and body. You're right, kid, I could have one every single time, but then it wouldn't be training now, would it? Said Stain, confirming Midoriya's statement. I knew it, Midoriya said, defeated, but before he could say anything else. But this time, even with my quirk, I would have lost, stated Stain as he got up and extended his hand towards Midoriya. I didn't even land a single cut on you, explained Stain as Midoriya grabbed his hand and pulled himself up. What? Exclaimed Midoriya as he got up. Look at my blades, Stain said as he showed him all the blades he used during the fight. They're clean, he said as he handed Midoriya all the blades. You won, kid, congrats, said Stain in a proud voice to his apprentice. Thank you, Stain, for everything, said Midoriya as he closed his hand and remembered a time he couldn't even touch Stain. The world is soon going to know your name, Deku, Stain said as he made an evil smile. I'm prepared to show the world who I am, responded Midoriya as he looked up. Midoriya and Stain were hopping over buildings searching for their prey. So what's the plan, Stain? Midoriya said as he crouched and looked overhead at the city. We're looking for this man. His hero name is Captain Celebrity, said Stain as he handed Midoriya a photo of the man. Captain Celebrity, huh? I've looked into him. He's pretty strong, explained Midoriya as he looked over towards Stain. Yeah, this guy got into some heat over in America for sexual abuse, so he came here to lay low and get with more women here, said Stain in a disgusted tone. Midoriya and Stain had taken down many heroes, but not someone of this caliber. He's supposed to be around this area as far as I know. Also, he loves being swarmed by his personal paparazzi, so we will have to make sure we seclude him. His quirk is flight, but on top of that he has super strength. He can lift an entire cruise ship, said Midoriya as he flipped through his notebook looking at the notes he had on the hero. This guy will instantly leave the scene if he feels his life is in danger, so keep that in mind, Stain. We have to do this fast, explained Midoriya. Midoriya spotted Captain Celebrity patrolling the empty street looking for women. Alright, let's do this, kid, said Stain enthusiastically as they both dropped down to an alley. Help me, this guy is going to kill me, shouted Midoriya as Stain was walking towards him, giving off a devilish smile. Midoriya had cut his hair short, wore blue contact lenses and wore a medical mask to hide his identity. Help! Midoriya shouted one last time. Captain Celebrity flew to the alleyway where Midoriya was. I am here, boy, after I defeat this villain I'll sign your shirt, said Captain Celebrity in a triumphant voice. The hero flew towards Stain, slowly flying past and in front of Midoriya. Now then, come quickly, paparazzi, you're going to want to see this, he said as he put his phone away. Shit, he called them that quickly? Alright, we have to do this quick, thought Midoriya along with Stain, who understood what Izuku was thinking. As they both nodded, they began the assault on Captain Celebrity. Stain dashed towards the hero while throwing a blade simultaneously. Captain Celebrity barely dodged and was surprised at the sheer speed Stain had over him. But Captain Celebrity flew towards Stain, tackling him and ramming him into the wall. Tisk, you're going to have to do better than that if you want to stand up to me, Captain Celebrity said in a confident voice. Midoriya in those moments got in position for his part of the plan. Stain noticed Midoriya's position and began to execute the plan they made beforehand. He moved towards Captain Celebrity and tried to cut him. As soon he saw this, Captain Celebrity flew up, dodging Stain. Please don't tell me that's all you go, dash. But before Captain Celebrity could finish his sentence, a sharp pain entered his right shoulder blade as he realized that Midoriya was on his back holding the dagger that stabbed him. The kid? Captain Celebrity thought as Midoriya pushed himself off the hero's back and onto an AC unit where he threw the blade at Stain. "It's over," said Stain with a wicked smile. "This is bad, I better leave," thought Captain Celebrity, but before he could fly away Stain licked the blade Midoriya gave him and Captain Celebrity fell like a rock to the ground. "Now then, Captain Celebrity, don't be mad, you brought this onto yourself. You and these fake heroes who plague this world," Stain said as he walked towards the incapacitated hero. Midoriya let Stain go on with his rant. He never interrupted him when he was in this state, it just made him even more unstable. "Now this is where it ends, oh Captain," Stain said as he lifted his blade prepared to kill the hero before Midoriya stopped him by pulling the hero away. "What are you doing?" Stain asked angrily. Midoriya quickly put up his blade. "Stain, my condition was no killing, leave him to a bloody pulp if you want, but don't finish him," said Midoriya as he looked at Stain, who was filled with so much rage and insanity. "You knew this was coming, Stain, just accept it," said Midoriya, still holding on to Captain Celebrity, who was on the floor confused at the scene before him. "Fine," Stain said, giving up as he walked towards Captain Celebrity. "Looks like you're getting a beating instead of death today, hero. Consider this mercy," said Stain as he began to kick and beat Captain Celebrity, who was on the floor barely able to catch his breath. Midoriya was always beaten like that by Bakugo, so he didn't join in, but he did watch mostly to make sure Stain didn't kill him. The guy did deserve it for all those women he assaulted in America. As Stain finished up his beating, he began to speak. "Remember this day, hero, the day Deku and Stain the hero killer beat you into this miserable state," he said as Midoriya walked up to the beaten and broken man. "Reflect on your actions, hero," said Midoriya as he dialed the police and masked his voice, telling them location of Captain Celebrity and his current state. Midoriya and Stain quickly leapt from wall to the top of the building and left. Little did they know a member of Captain Celebrity's paparazzi crew recorded the fight and the beating he received. "You did good, kid, but I'm not sure how long I can put my ideals on hold for you," said Stain as he paced impatiently around the room. Midoriya was aware Stain was mentally unstable when it came to his crusade. It was like an addiction. Izuku knew he couldn't hold Stain back for long. It was only a matter of time until he snapped and went on a rampage. Midoriya was at a crossroads. He didn't want to leave Stain, but he knew if he stuck with him he would eventually go against his final rule. "Stain, Midoriya was about to speak when Stain interrupted him. "Kid, we have to part ways," said Stain in a stern voice. Midoriya was surprised at what Stain just said. "I can't put my ideals on hold just for you, and sooner or later I'm going to snap," Stain explained as he finally sat down in his armchair. "Stain, you don't have to," said Midoriya before he was interrupted again by his mentor. "You may be a villain, but you aren't an evil kid. I knew since day one if it wasn't for quirks and the bullying you endured, I know you would have made an outstanding hero," explained Stain as he got up and walked towards his apprentice. "Here, these guys contacted me to join their group. They said they were interested in both of us, but they were more into you due to your impressive observation and note-taking," said Stain as he handed Midoriya a business card with one address on it. "Get your shit and get out of here, Midoriya," said Stain as he opened the front door. Midoriya couldn't say anything. Stain was right. He himself knew he would eventually lose it if Midoriya kept stopping him from heroes every time. "I understand," said Midoriya sadly as he grabbed his things and began to walk out the door. "Deku," Stain called out as he threw a knife toward Midoriya, to which he catched with ease. Attached to it was a red calling card. It had a phone number. "Stay sharp, kid," Stain said as he closed the door to his hideout. Midoriya was all alone again. He couldn't help but feel sad. Stain had been a teacher, mentor, and most of all the father figure he always needed. Midoriya looked down. Stain gave him. "Guess I'll see what these guys want with me," said Midoriya as he headed towards the address. Meanwhile, at the Katsuki household, "The entrance exam is in 1 week and I'm going to ace it," said Bakugo as he looked at the U.A website stating the time, date, and location the exam was going to take place. "Bakugo, the food is ready, we have guests," yelled Bakugo's mother from downstairs. "All right, Moem, I'll be right down," yelled Bakugo as he exited his room and went downstairs to eat dinner. Much to his surprise, Midoriya was downstairs helping his mom finish up. "How much you've grown, Kaken," said Inko in a kind tone. Bakugo flinched at the name Kaken. The only one who called him that was Midoriya. "Good afternoon," said Bakugo as he sat down at the table. "I'm sure you know what happened to Midoriya, so please have respect or don't say anything at all," whispered Bakugo's mother into his ear. "Even when the dumb nerd is missing, he's giving me fucking hard time," thought Bakugo angrily as he ate his food quickly. He didn't want to hear anything related to Deku. Bakugo quickly finished his food and went back up to his room without saying a word. "So Inko, how's the search coming along?" asked Mitsuki as she cleaned her plate and her son's. "It's not going well, they can't seem to find him anywhere," responded Inko as she looked at her food. "I'm sure he's out there, sweetie, he has to be," said Mitsuki in a loving voice as she grasped Inko's hand. "I hope he's eating enough," said Inko as she poked at her food some more. This is the place, huh, said Midoriya as he looked at the building and the others around it. Well, it's deserted, so that's a good sign, I hope, he thought as a black mist engulfed him out of nowhere. As soon as Midoriya was teleported, he quickly pulled out his blade and prepared himself. Calm yourself, we are not going to hurt you, said the well-dressed black mist as he began to clean a shot glass while next to him was a blue-haired teen with hands all over his body. Midoriya wasn't convinced and still kept his guard up. You guys the League of Villains? Asked Midoriya as he threw the calling card in their direction. Yes, we are, boy, said a deep chilling voice. Much to Midoriya's surprise, it came from a monitor mounted on a wall. Sensei, said Shigaraki as looked towards the monitor. Now then, let's get down to business, Deku. That is what you go by, correct? Said the man on the monitor. Yes, it's Deku, responded Midoriya as he lowered his weapon, realizing if they wanted him dead they would have done something by now. Deku, I'm going to be frank, we need your analyzing skills. It's as simple as that, and possibly aid us in more ambitious projects in the future, said the man calmly. What's the catch, asked Midoriya as he knew a group like this wasn't without a catch usually. There is no catch. You will work for us only. We only want your analysis on heroes and that brilliant mind of yours, explained the man. If that's all, I see no reason not to join, Midoriya said. However, he knew if he refused he was going to die. This man had that aura about him. Excellent, said the man, but before he could say another word Midoriya spoke. I have two conditions, however, Midoriya said as he looked at the man on the screen. 1, I will not kill. 2, I can come and go as I please. Also, you don't have to worry about me saying anything. I'd rather stay hidden, explained Midoriya as he gripped his blade, prepared for the worst. Interesting. Okay, Deku, we only need you for analysis for the time being anyway, so I have no problem with these conditions, said the man in a low, intimidating voice. Alright then. One more thing, what's your name? I would like to know my employer's name, asked Midoriya as he lowered his blade yet again. My name is All For One and the Black Mist is Kurogiri and this young man is Shigaraki, responded All For One. Midoriya's eyes grew. He knew exactly who this man was and what he was capable of. All For One, you were quite famous when quirks began to emerge, said Midoriya as he looked towards the monitor. You know your history. Now tell me, Deku, what quirk do you possess? Asked All For One as he looked at Deku. I'm actually quirkless, responded Midoriya in a proud voice. Midoriya had accepted his status and now saw it as a strength rather than a weakness. Interesting, it's just what this league needs, real talent. Nothing given to them by birth, said All For One, displaying his interest in Midoriya. I will provide you an apartment on this street by tonight. Welcome, Deku, to the League of Villains, exclaimed All For One. Thank you for having me, responded Midoriya as he bowed in respect to everyone in the room. The next morning, 7 a.m. I don't like him at all, said Shigaraki in an annoyed voice. He really didn't like Midoriya, most likely due to his no-killing rule and him getting praised by Sensei. Kurogiri didn't dislike Midoriya, in fact he respected him for how mature he seemed. Good morning, Kurogiri. Good morning, Shigaraki, said Midoriya as he sat at the bar. Good morning, Deku, what will it be today? Asked Kurogiri as he began to arrange plates and cups. A bowl of cereal if you can, Kurogiri, responded Midoriya. Of course, responded Kurogiri as he began to serve him his cereal. Midoriya turned to look at Shigaraki, who was staring at him. Deku, if you don't deliver or you spill anything I'll kill you myself, said Shigaraki as he stared at Midoriya. Don't worry about me, Shigaraki, responded Midoriya as he began to eat his cereal and watch TV. Today was the U.A entrance exam and it was all over the news. Midoriya returned to his apartment that was right next to the League's hideout. Midoriya let out a sigh. He wanted to be a hero so badly, but it was far too late. A smile grew across Midoriya's face. I don't start any work until tomorrow. Let me show the world that someone without a quirk can pass the entrance exam, said Midoriya as he put on a pair of pants and a shirt. Also, to hide his identity, Midoriya put on his hazel blue contacts and a medical face mask. As for his hair, he quickly went to the convenience store and bought white spray-on hair dye. Okay, if I take the rooftops I'll make it just barely, said Midoriya as he walked out his apartment and traversed his way to the rooftop, folder in hand. Thanks for the fake paperwork, Stain, said Midoriya as he let out a smile. Stain made sure to give Midoriya some cover in case anyone ever tried to question him for whatever reason. Midoriya's fake name was Akaguro Hiro. He had attended a middle school in Hosa, to which he also has paperwork to stay and had good connections, so if they tried to find Akaguro Hiro in the system it wouldn't be a problem. At the U.A entrance. "Alright, I made it," said Midoriya as he put on his medical mask and made his way to registration. Midoriya was walking to the entrance as he tripped on a broken piece of pavement, to which he regained his balance instantly and felt a tap on his back and began to float. Midoriya was completely calm and turned to see who touched him. He was aware of her presence, but he wanted to maintain his cover. "Ah, thank you," said Midoriya calmly as she pressed the tips of her fingers together, releasing Midoriya. "It's my quirk, sorry for stopping you, but it's a bad omen if you trip and fall. It sure is nerve-wracking, huh?" "Well, good luck to us both," said the round-faced girl as she walked away. "Interesting quirk," said Midoriya as he noted her quirk mentally as she walked away. Midoriya entered to the amphitheater. After registration they tried to get Midoriya to take off his mask for the test, but Midoriya's time with Stain and baiting and heroes taught him how to lie and put on, and they let him through to the theater. "Welcome to today's live performance, everybody say HUI, said President Mike, only to receive no response. He was a pro hero who also held a talk show. Midoriya was a couple minutes late as he walked in and found the row and seat he was assigned. As Midoriya approached his seat he recognized a familiar face. It was Bakugo, his bully and ex-best friend. "I knew you'd be here, didn't think we would be this close. Sorry, I can't help but hate you, Kachan. Everything you did to me," scowled Midoriya in his head. He hated Bakugo for everything he had done to him, and not being able to do anything at that moment made Izuku angrier. Midoriya sat down and began to listen to the seminar when he felt Bakugo's eyes staring at him. "Now here are the rules. Each foe villain has a set number of points attached to it, and you will destroy these villains. The higher level the villain, the more points you get," explained President Mike. Papers with detailed instructions began to be passed around. As Midoriya received his paper he began to mumble all possible outcomes, strategies, and all the foe villains' weaknesses and strengths. Bakugo turned to look at his neighbor, mumbling to himself, and couldn't help but be reminded of Midoriya as his blood boiled. Why did they add such a big villain with no points? Probably for someone to be presented with the opportunity to show heroic qualities. Hidden points, maybe, Midoriya mumbled as a tall boy with glasses stood up and asked a question over the exam. "And you with the white hair, you've been mumbling this whole time, it's distracting. If this is some sort of game to you, please leave immediately." Some students around Midoriya began to snicker and giggle before Midoriya responded. "Mind your business," said Midoriya in an intimidating tone as he stared at the boy with glasses with cold eyes. The theater went silent and the boy with glasses saw the look in his eyes and sat back down. President Mike went on to explain the rest of the test, and everyone was assigned their test sites. Midoriya was assigned test site 2. He was with Bakugo, the girl from earlier, and the boy with glasses who called him out earlier in the theater. "Excuse me, may I have a weapon?" asked Midoriya as he spoke to one of the attendants at the test site. "Excuse me, a weapon? Your quirk is enough, isn't it?" said the attendant in a confused voice. "I don't have a quirk, so I'm going to need a weapon unless you want me to fight the villains with my bare hands," said Midoriya in a deadpan voice as he looked at the attendant. The attendant was shocked. A quirkless boy was taking the entrance exam. There was no rule against it, but no one quirkless has ever taken the test. "Oh, sure, whom will this do?" asked the attendant, still confused as he handed Midoriya a retractable metal staff. "This is good enough," said Midoriya as he received the staff and walked towards the gates to the test site, the attendant staring at the boy as he walked away. Midoriya was at the front waiting for the gates to open. He wasn't stupid. U.A was a prestigious school. They wanted heroes who could act instantly, so the moment the gates opened he was ready. Midoriya looked around and saw Bakugo by himself making little explosions in his hand. Meanwhile the boy in glasses was looking around and the round-faced girl was taking deep breaths. The gates began to open slightly and slowly, but in that instant Midoriya turned on his switch and instantly ran through the gate. Midoriya spotted 2 levels 1s and quickly pulled out his staff and with one strike broke the bot in one hit, shattering its metal armor like it was paper. He quickly followed up to the next bot, easily dodging its swing and shattering his head in one hit. Midoriya quickly moved to the building and hopped from wall to the roof. As soon as Midoriya made it to the roof he quickly moved throughout the site, destroying any bots he encountered. "Begin! What are you guys waiting for? The test already started and one student already has 20 points, shouted President Mike in the intercom. Everyone quickly dashed to the entrance, which was now wide open. 20 points, said everyone as they ran. Bakugo was angry someone was getting ahead of him, and by so much already he quickly began to rack up his points along with the boy with glasses and his engine legs kicking the bots into rubble and the round-faced girl who was making robots float and drop, breaking them on impact to the ground. 15 minutes later in the observation room. "Who is this kid?" said Eraserhead, who was impressed at Midoriya along with many other teachers. All Might, who was going to be teaching at Yudare, was also impressed. "He'll pull up his file now," said Nizu. "Okay, his name is Akaguro Hiro. He graduated top of his class in terms of grades, and he's quirkless," said Nizu as he quickly looked at the monitor which showed Midoriya on screen. The entire monitoring room went silent to news of a quirkless boy doing so well on the entrance exam. All Might was reminded of the day he told Midoriya to give up on being a hero. Was I wrong to say such a thing to that boy? Thought All Might. They began to watch Midoriya fight a level 3 foe villain. Midoriya quickly maneuvered around the robot and twisted its head off with his bare hands. "He's been trained well," stated Eraserhead as he watched the boy rip the robot's head off and crush it underfoot. "This is too easy," said Midoriya as he destroyed another robot. He had a total of 67 points at the moment. "I think that's enough. I should leave some for these guys," said Midoriya as he retracted his staff and parkoured his way to the top of a building. "Let's see how the rest of these people are doing," he thought as he scanned the area looking at the other students fight the remaining robots, but a loud rumble made him lose his train of thought. "The obstacle hut," said Midoriya calmly as he sat at the edge of the building and was astonished a school had the budget to make such a big robot. Midoriya got up and made his way closer to the robot to get a better look when he saw a familiar face. "It's that girl with the zero-gravity quirk," thought Midoriya as he saw her run away from the huge robot. As the girl was running, she tripped and rubble from the building landed on her leg, leaving her directly on the robot's path. Knowing them, they will stop the bot before it crushes her. But there is always the chance she could die to the debris, thought Midoriya. He looked in the girl's direction and ran in her direction to help her. Midoriya easily lifted the rocks and rubble and carried her out of the robot's path. "Thank you," said the girl as she blushed. "Don't mention it," said Midoriya as he set her down. "My name is Uraraka Ochako, by the way," said Uraraka as she caught her breath. "Akaguro Hiro, nice to meet you," said Midoriya as he looked towards the clock. The test had 1 minute left. It was practically over. "Well, it was nice meeting you, Uraraka. I hope you passed," said Midoriya as he began jogging towards the exit. Uraraka couldn't say a word. She was still in shock over everything that had happened. In the monitor room, the teachers were all impressed by Midoriya and his skills. "Quirks really aren't everything, huh?" said Nizu as he marked Akaguro Hiro in the 1A class. "He's broken all the school records. I want to speak with him personally," said Nizu as he got up from his chair. Several other teachers along with All Might spoke up and also wanted to meet this quirkless boy. "Was I wrong to deny that boy his dreams?" asked All Might to himself as followed Nizu to the amphitheater. "Students, first off, great job everyone, you all did great. However, as you all know, many of you won't be accepted," said Nizu in a sad tone. He knew that all of these kids wanted to be heroes. "But don't worry if you don't get accepted to U.A, that doesn't mean you can't become a hero. Anyone can become hero, even someone quirkless," said Nizu as he brought up the scoreboard. Many laughed at the idea of someone quirkless becoming a hero. Nizu brought up the scoreboard. It showed the top 5, which consisted of 1st Akaguro Hiro, 2 ND Katsuki Bakugo, 3 RD Ijiru Kirishima, 4 TH Tenya Lita, and in 5th Ochako Uraraka. She got lucky. She got a lot of rescue points from helping the other students. "Will these students please come up to the stage?" said Nizu as he scanned the room. The top 5 made their way to the front of the theater. Bakugo, however, was filled with so much anger that he didn't get first place. He wanted to punch the kid in first place. As the top 5 reached the front, Nizu spoke. "You 5 did amazingly on the test, each in your own way. Some through combat and others in rescue, showing the true marks of a hero. However, one of you went above and beyond our expectations. Akaguro, will you please step forward?" said Nizu as he looked towards Midoriya and signaled him to step forward. Midoriya took a step forward, a bit interested what the principal was going to say. This boy broke all school records, showing impressive skills and displayed qualities of a true hero. And above all, being quirkless, said Nizu as he showed Midoriya's overall score of 127. The entire theater along with the top 5 were astonished. A quirkless person got the highest score ever. He's quirkless and he got that high of a score? That's impossible. He probably cheated or something. That's not right, said the students staring at the score and at Midoriya. He's quirkless? And I lost? This fucker cheated or something. There is no way. A quirkless nobody did better than me, thought Bakugo angrily as he stared at the Midoriya aka Akaguro with contempt. We monitored Akaguro and can confirm there was no cheating involved. assured Nizu as he showed footage of Midoriya disposing of the robots. Anyone can become a hero and Akaguro is a prime example. Take a moment and reflect. Become the heroes of tomorrow by learning today, said Nizu as he began to walk off the stage. Alright, that will be all everyone, make sure to check your mailboxes for your letter, said President Mike as he finished up with the presentation. Akaguro, me and some other teachers would like to speak with you after the presentation, is that okay? Asked Nizu as he pulled Midoriya to the side. Sure, that's fine, responded Midoriya as he went back to his seat. After the presentation, Midoriya followed Nizu to a conference room along with a couple pro heroes including All Might. Akaguro, I would like to personally give you your letter of acceptance into UA, said Nizu as he handed Midoriya a letter with big UA letters on the front. You surprised us all today, not just because you were quirkless but also because you showed how skilled you are and saved a fellow student from the faux villain knowing there was no merit in doing so, explained Nizu as he looked in Midoriya's direction. Midoriya had no interest in attending UA anymore, he was down a different path now. All the teachers began to question Midoriya in terms of who taught him to fight and move. Midoriya had an answer to all their questions. He knew he couldn't mention Stain taught him, so he said his father taught him everything he knows. Akaguro, I have a question, my boy, asked All Might as he stepped forward. A while ago a boy asked me if he could become a hero, and at that time I denied his aspirations, telling him it wasn't possible without a quirk. However, after watching you today I realized a quirk doesn't make the hero. My question is, was it the right thing to do? Said All Might as he looked in Midoriya's direction. If you don't mind, I'd like to recreate the scene with me as the boy so I can give you an accurate answer, said Midoriya as he showed a calm face. Sure, thank you my boy, said All Might as he lifted his shoulders and took a deep breath. Okay, we were at a rooftop after he grabbed me after jumping to bring a villain to the police and asked me the question, said All Might as he explained the events that had transpired beforehand. I see, I'll try my best, said Midoriya, but he knew every emotion he felt that day, so recreating it won't be hard. All Might, I admired you for a long time, and I wanted to ask you if a cute quirkless person can be a hero. I know there isn't a quirkless hero out there, but I want to help people, I want to be like you, said Midoriya in the timid voice he used to have. Of course he masked his voice to be deeper. All Might was taken back by how almost it sounded like young Midoriya. All Might almost said the opposite of what he originally said to him that day, mostly due to the display the quirkless boy showed today. I don't think it's possible for a person to become a hero without a quirk, but if you would like to help people then consider joining the police force. They don't get the praise like heroes do, but it's a fine profession, said All Might. A hint of guilt could be heard from his voice. All Might began to doubt. After hearing himself he began to realize something. I see, said Midoriya as he clenched his fist. After that I left the roof, leaving the young boy up there, said All Might as he tried to regain his composure. All Might was afraid for some reason. He was afraid of the answer he was about to receive. That was cold, All Might. If I was him, I'd like to jump off a building because my idol, my last string of hope, told me to give up on my dreams. But you know what, I think he just moved on and began looking for people that might accept him and give him hope, said Midoriya, holding back his frustration. All Might's smile faltered and his heart sank at the thought of suicide. I see, choked up All Might. Midoriya was so frustrated he couldn't tell All Might exactly what he wanted to say, so he coded his words. All Might, you shattered his dreams from what I can tell. It sounded like he looked up to you and you were his last string of hope. All he needed was a few words of encouragement and he would be standing here before you. It seemed like he wanted to be a hero more than anybody. I'm sure he would have tried his hardest to be able to stand in the arena even without a quirk. But he didn't even get the chance to try, Midoriya said to All Might. All Might grew cold as Midoriya gave his answer. He was right on the dot. All Might did shatter a boy's dream and he had no right whatsoever to do so. Trust me, being quirkless isn't easy. Being quirkless nowadays means you get bullied, belittled, and treated as something lower than human. If that boy wanted to be a hero after all, that I think he deserved at least a chance to achieve his dream, don't you think? Said Midoriya as he grasped the note. All Might and the rest of the room went silent at what Midoriya said. They didn't know quirkless individuals went through this much hardship. He's probably moved on by now, hopefully. Don't beat yourself up, All Might, said Midoriya as he put the note on the desk at the front of the room. Thanks but no thanks, my aspirations for becoming a hero died long ago. I only came to this test to prove the world wrong about quirkless people and to set a record at this school no one will ever be able to break. And when they ask who holds it, the answer they will receive is, "It was a quirkless boy who had no intention of becoming a hero," said Midoriya as he walked towards the door, walking and closing it behind him. The room was silent. The boy didn't even want to be a hero. Well then, I suppose there is nothing we can do about it. He has every right to deny us. I am sad, however, to see such talent walk away, said Nizu as he saw Midoriya walk towards the exit. Hey you! Bakugo shouted at Akaguro, aka Midoriya, as he was walking out of UA. Don't think you're better than me just because you passed entrance exam with a high score, loser, shouted Bakugo. Ha? Okay, whatever you say, Midoriya said as he ignored Bakugo and began walking to the League of Villains hideout. Midoriya arrived at his apartment and threw himself on the bed. It's far too late for that now, I've chosen my path, said Midoriya as he pulled out a notebook. Midoriya began documenting the quirks he saw at the entrance exam. Midoriya was writing things down when a familiar voice came on the monitor in his room. I saw your amazing display at the U.A entrance exam, Deku, said All For One. Midoriya was surprised All For One was watching. How did you watch the exam? How did you know I'd be there? Asked Midoriya as he looked up from his notebook. I simply hacked a monitor and I keep tabs on everyone, even Shigaraki, explained All For One as he sat back in his chair. I must say you truly showed some skill out there, Deku. Quirks aren't everything in this world and you showed them today, said All For One in a wicked tone. Yeah, it was pretty easy. To tell you the truth, I always wanted to be hero, but everyone just bullied and mocked me in my dream and I gave in, said Midoriya as he went back to writing in his journal. So he wanted to be a hero? That's interesting. I wonder what changed. You'll find out in time, but for now he'll use his skills for the league, thought All For One as he shifted in his chair. Well then, get some rest, Deku. Tomorrow you begin your work. Prepare yourself, he said as the monitor went blank. Midoriya documented the rest of the quirks he remembered and put the notebook away. Guess I should go to bed, Midoriya said as he went to sleep. 2 weeks later, after the UA entrance exam, it's UA's first day of class. Students who did well on the practical exam began to pour into Class 1A. The student list was as followed: Katsuki Bakugo, Explosion; Shoto Todoroki, Fire and Ice; Ochako Uraraka, Zero Gravity; Momo Yayorozu, Creation; Fumikage Tokoyami, Dark Shadow; Tsuyu Ajui, Frog Can Do Anything a Frog Can; Kyokujiro, Earphone Jack; Aijiro Kirishima, Hardening; Mina Ashido, Acid; Tenya Ida, Engine; Denki Kaminari, Electrification; Yuga Aoyama, Naval Laser; Mashireo Ojiro, Tail; Minoru Mineta, Pop Off; Mizo Shoji, Dupli Arms; Rikito Sato, Sugar Rush; Koji Koda, Ani Voice; Toru Hakagure, Invisibility; Hanta Siro, Tape. 19 students in total. Only one particular quirkless boy was missing. Good morning, said Aizawa, aka Eraserhead, laying on the floor in a cocoon-like state. To which the class responded with surprised yelps. In your homeroom, teacher Shoto Aizawa. Please find your assigned seats, said Aizawa in a dead voice. All the students began to sit, all except one seat in behind Bakugo. Alright, now that you all found your seats, let's begin class, said Aizawa, but before he could say anything else he was interrupted. Hey sensei, are you sure everyone is here? Said Mina Ashido, a pink-skinned girl with horns, as she looked towards the empty seat behind Bakugo. Yes, that's everyone. The boy who broke school records and was number 1 in the practical exam rejected his acceptance letter to UA. He simply came to prove a point, said Aizawa as he got out a clipboard. Some students were amazed someone rejected UA. He's not here, huh, thought Uraraka sadly as she fidgeted in her seat. Fucking I wanted to pound that quirkless shit, thought Bakugo angrily as he snapped his pencil in half. Yes, well, nothing we can do about it. Now get changed into your hero clothes, we're going out to the yard, said Aizawa. Back at the league, Midoriya was done improving his suit. He made major adjustments such as changing the material, upgrading his face mask, and giving himself a couple new gadgets. Midoriya wasn't out fighting, instead he was stalking and observing multiple heroes and jotting down notes on their quirks. Excellent work, Deku, my boy, your observation skills really are that of a genius, said All For One as the monitor switched on. Thank you, sensei, said Midoriya as he nodded his head and began to scan his notes and print out copies for the league. Deka, how would you like to get out and cause a bit of trouble? Said All For One in a wicked voice. What's the trouble? Asked Midoriya as he kept scanning his notes. Shigaraki has planned an attack on UA. If you're interested, talk to Shigaraki, he will fill you in. Don't worry, I'll talk to him about your possible involvement," said All for One as the monitor switched off. "Guess I'll go. I don't want to get rusty only doing my workouts," said Midoriya as he looked at his scarred body in the mirror. "Guess I'll go talk to Shigaraki," he said to himself as walked next door to the league hideout. "I don't want him in my group, sensei," exclaimed Shigaraki at the monitor. Now Shigaraki, you must make use of every available member of the league, and Deku is no common villain. Unlike most, he has the brain that could become the foundation for the league," explained All for One as he saw Midoriya walk in. "Ah, Deka, have you made up your mind?" asked All for One. "Yes. If it's okay with Shigaraki, I would like to be a part of the attack," said Midoriya as he sat down at the bar. "Fine, that you can come," said Shigaraki as he scratched his wrist. "Good, then it's settled." Shigaraki filled Deku in with all the details. "Best of luck. I'll be attending to some other business meanwhile," said All for One as the screen went blank. "Alright Deka, here's the plan," said Shigaraki, annoyed as he began to explain the plan to Midoriya. At the police station, "Midoriya, where did you go?" pondered Naomasa. He had been obsessed with Midoriya and his case because of the promise he made to Inko Midoriya. So his shoes are here but then he's gone? It just doesn't make sense where he could be. Naomasa thought as he looked over at his stained folder. He noticed a familiar building. He picked up the photo and brought it alongside the building where Midoriya's shoes were found. No, it can't be. Is Stain connected to Midoriya somehow? They both went missing the same day and around the same vicinity, said Naomasa to himself as he tapped his foot. "Shit," said Naomasa, frustrated as he rubbed his face. "Just a bit more evidence and he'll be able to finish this puzzle and find you, Midoriya," thought Naomasa as he got up from his desk and began to head out of the station. He bumped into an old friend. "Hey Naomasa," said the very skinny man. "Tashinori," said Naomasa, surprised to see Tashinori Yagi, his old friend most commonly known as All Might. "I need a friend right now," said Tashinori. "What's bothering you, Toshi?" asked Naomasa as he poured tea for his friend and himself. "I've been thinking of what I said to a young boy a while ago recently," said Tashinori as he held the tea in both hands. "I told the boy he couldn't become a hero because he was quirkless," Tashinori explained as he took a sip of his tea. "Well, you're not wrong, Tashinori. Being a hero nowadays is no easy feat even with a quirk. To be quirkless as well, the chances become very slim," responded Naomasa as he looked at his friend. "I know that, but I shattered his dream. I knew the moment I told him. I knew he was no longer going to be a hero. But I only said such a thing to protect him," said Tashinori as he clenched his fist. "Listen, Tashinori, you did what you thought was right and that's what matters. You may be the symbol of peace but you're still only human," responded Naomasa as he stared at his tea. Near the Midoriya household, Midoriya was searching for his mother, only sticking to the rooftops to avoid detection. As Midoriya looked around, he saw his mother walking into his old home with a single bag of groceries in hand. "I'm sorry, Mom. I wish I could come back," thought Midoriya as a single tear fell down his cheek. Midoriya always made time in the week to see his mom even if he couldn't talk to her. "One day, Mom, you'll see me again, I promise," said Midoriya as he began to go back to his apartment. "Now let's go over the plan." "To kill All Might," said Shigaraki as he looked in Midoriya and Kurogiri's direction. "Kill All Might? You sure about that, Shigaraki?" asked Midoriya as his eyes widened a bit. He wasn't informed about this in the last meeting. Midoriya knew All Might's strength was no joke and he may resent him, but wishing death upon another person was never his style. "Sensei has prepared something incredible for the league, don't you worry, idiot," scowled Shigaraki as he began to scratch the palm of his hand. "We will kill the symbol of peace tomorrow." "Without a doubt," said Shigaraki with a creepy smile. Shigaraki went over the plan with Kurogiri and Midoriya, telling them what their roles would be. "So Deki, you will back up Kurogiri, got that?" said Shigaraki, annoyed. "Sure Shigaraki, you'll do my best," responded Midoriya in a deadpan voice as he turned towards Kurogiri. "Let's do this, Kurogiri," said Midoriya as he looked at the misty figure. "I'm pleased to have you, Deku," Kurogiri responded. "Alright, I'll see you all later," said Shigaraki as he went to his room still scratching his hand. "Kurogiri, does Shigaraki hate me?" Midoriya asked the Black Mist. "I believe he hates everyone, but at times he can be very docile," responded Kurogiri with a chuckle. "I see, well, good night, Kurogiri," said Midoriya as he bowed in respect to Kurogiri. "To you as well." Kurojiri said as he bowed in return. At UA. Alright then, first said Aizawa as he was explaining the training, but before he could finish he was interrupted by a large black mist that began to appear behind him. Guess I'm a real villain now, thought Midoriya as he arranged his metal mask into place while stepping out of the mist along with Shigaraki, followed by a hulking monster with an exposed brain. What the hell is that, Shigaraki? Asked Midoriya, wary of the monster. It's called a Nomu, just wait and see when it fights All Might, said Shigaraki as he let out a chuckle. A mass of low-ranking villains followed after. Aizawa quickly ran towards the mass of villains, taking them out swiftly. Today is going to be interesting, said Midoriya as he quickly turned the knob on his mask and began to record. Deku, are you ready? Said Kurojiri as he finished teleporting the rest of the villains. Midoriya nodded in his direction and they both were quickly on top of the students and Pro Hero 13. Midoriya stood calmly next to the big mist that loomed over the group. I won't let you through. Nice to meet you. We are the League of Villains. I know it seems rude, but we have invited ourselves into the home of heroes, UA High School, said Kurojiri as he stared down the group. We have come to have All Might take his last breath. I believe All Might should have been here. Was there a change in the schedule? Well, no matter. This is the part we are here to play, said Kurojiri. Midoriya recognized the red-haired boy as one of the top 10 entrance exam applicants. His name was Kirishima Izuku. Bakugo and Kirishima dashed towards the dark mist, making a loud explosion in process. Did you consider that you'd get beaten by us before you could? Shouted Kirishima. Oh dear, that's right, even if you were students, you are excellent golden eggs, said Kurojiri as the dust cleared. But we have a golden egg ourselves and he shines brighter than all of you, said Kurojiri as Midoriya quickly dashed in front and kicked Kirishima right in the stomach, causing him to lose his breath and fall back into the group. In that instant, Midoriya grabbed Bakugo by his gauntlet, throwing him into the students. My job is to scatter you all and make your life a living hell, shouted Kurojiri as he engulfed and scattered everyone except 5 students and 1 teacher. Shit, we still have 6 people. Kuro and 13's quirk is dangerous, it's basically a black hole, shouted Midoriya as he stared at the group. Midoriya recognized a couple of faces from the entrance exam, but he didn't hold back against anyone. Tenya, you have to use your quirk and run and warn the other teachers, said 13 to the group as she turned to face Kurojiri and Deku. 13 activated her quirk and began to suck up Midoriya and Kurojiri. Midoriya quickly brought out his blade and sunk it into the floor so he could have something to hold on to. Kuro opened a portal in front of 13's finger and one aimed at 13's backside. 13 turned cold at the suggestion the masked villain made, but it was too late to react. Kurojiri quickly opened the portals and 13 nearly turned herself to dust. Everyone, that type of 6 villain is the most dangerous kind. Be careful, said 13 to the students as she pointed towards Midoriya and passed out. Excellent suggestion, Deku, said Kurojiri as he composed himself. Kurojiri, however, received a telepathic message from one of the villains scattered with the students. Kurojiri, we have a problem in the collapsed building section, send hell dash, explained the villain before he was cut off. Damn. Deku, looks like you're going to have to back up some of our associates, I'll warp you there now. I can manage here on my own, Kurojiri explained as he opened a portal. Alright Kurojiri, I'm on it, responded Deku as he jumped through the portal. Midoriya was teleported to the collapsed zone. His objective was to help the villains with the 2 students present in the zone. Now where is Dash, asked Midoriya as he was interrupted by large explosion in one of the buildings. A smile grew across Midoriya's face, he knew who he had to take care of. Midoriya reached the building and made his was to the room of the explosion. That mist guy is how these punks are getting around. Beat him and they will have nowhere to run. And I have a general idea of how to beat him, explained Bakugo to Kirishima as a camouflaged gecko villain tried to stab Bakugo, to which he dodged and slammed his head into the floor, followed with an explosion. I mean, if all they are sending is these idiots, we should be fine, Bakugo said as he stood up. Kirishima was going to speak up, but he was interrupted by a voice. Midoriya was greeted to multiple unconscious villains on the floor, some with extreme injuries. You know, for students this is guys need to hold back just a bit. However, what happens if you kill one of these guys? That's not very heroic, and that's coming from me. But to be fair, they were trying to kill you guys, so fair trade, said Midoriya as he looked at Kirishima and Bakugo. Bakugo was a bit taken back by the voice of the villain. It was oddly similar to Deku's. Bakugo quickly snapped out of his trance and let out a devilish smile looking in Midoriya's direction. "To be honest, I wanted to fight you, but that mist guy threw us over here," said Bakugo as he lit up some explosions trying to intimidate the villain before him. "Hey man, we should be careful, this guy seems tough," explained Kirishima, recalling the kick to the stomach he received not too long ago. Kirishima looked over to Bakugo, who wasn't paying attention. "Shut up. Let's just beat this guy to a bloody pulp," yelled Bakugo as he began his assault on Midoriya. Midoriya quickly saw through Bakugo's attack and remembered his notes on his fighting style. "Right swing," thought Midoriya as he grabbed his arm and threw him on the floor as hard as he could. Bakugo lost his breath at the sheer impact of being thrown on the floor. Midoriya followed up quickly with a kick to the side of his stomach, causing the blonde boy to skid against floor and against a nearby wall. "Don't forget about me," shouted Kirishima as he hardened his body and ran towards Midoriya. "So slow." Most likely due to his hardening quirk, he should have weak spots, however not everything can be hardened, said Midoriya to himself as he dodged Kirishima's tackle. Bakugo brought himself up, still coughing from the attack he had just received. "Foo fucker," said Bakugo, shooting a glance to his gauntlet and at Midoriya. Kirishima ran towards Midoriya at full speed, hardening his body. Midoriya quickly grabbed Kirishima's arm, exposing a weak spot in his underarm, followed by a strong jab. Kirishima recoiled at the immense pain. "Every quirk has a weakness. And every weakness can be exploited," said Midoriya as he looked at Bakugo, still coughing and catching his breath, and Kirishima, who was now holding his arm in pain. "Look, believe it or not, I'm not here to kill you guys. So stay down. Unless you want to leave this place with more than a couple bruises," said Midoriya as he looked at the students. "Please come at me again, Kaken. You have to pay for what you did to me for all those years," thought Midoriya as he looked over at Bakugo. "Like hell, I'll stay down." Bakugo and Kirishima responded as they both ran towards Midoriya. Bakugo ran towards Midoriya, making a small explosion, propelling himself upward and behind Midoriya, causing a smokescreen in his face. In that instant, Kirishima quickly followed up with a hardened punch to Midoriya's stomach. "That was not good enough, unfortunately," Midoriya said with a slight cough. Midoriya quickly grabbed Bakugo's arm, which was pointed towards his back and ready to fire at full blast. Midoriya, however, placed Bakugo's hand right in Kirishima's face. "You're sweating quite a bit, Bakugo. How strong do you think this blast is going to be?" asked Midoriya calmly as he stepped to the side. Bakugo's face went cold and looked towards Kirishima, who couldn't see in front of him due to Bakugo's smokescreen. "Harden now," shouted Bakugo as a loud explosion shook the building. Kirishima went flying due to the explosion and his entire body slammed against the wall. Bakugo flew from the sheer force of his explosion and his back slammed against the wall. Bakugo's vision was blurry, but he looked in Kirishima's direction. Looking at his limp body, he grew cold at the thought that he may have killed a fellow student and his hero career was now over. That blast was the strongest he had ever produced, and it was fired point blank at his face. Midoriya walked towards Kirishima calmly and inspected him. Just a couple mean burns. The adrenaline got him to break his limit at the last second," said Midoriya as he looked at the red-haired boy who was unconscious. Midoriya began to walk away until he felt the sudden urge to help Kirishima and his burns. "Fuck, what am I even doing? He's going to be fine," said Midoriya as he got out his healing ointment and placed it on his burn marks and bruises. Bakugo was extremely surprised to see a villain was helping his classmate. "Deku, we need you at the front now," shouted Shigaraki into Midoriya's earpiece. "Did I hear Deku? No, that nerd could never beat me, plus he's quirkless. This guy definitely has a quirk, I'm sure of it," Bakugo said in his mind. "I'm on my way," responded Midoriya as he jumped out the shattered window. "Hey, where do you think you're going, fucker?" shouted Bakugo as he jumped out the window and used his explosions to propel himself towards Midoriya, attempting to kick him in the head. Midoriya quickly blocked and grabbed his leg, throwing him away. "Just give up, you have lost already. Go help your friend, he sure as hell needs it," shouted Midoriya so Bakugo could hear him. "I never lose. That idiot was just getting in my way anyway," Bakugo shouted back, lifting up his gauntlet and aiming it towards Midoriya with a grin on his face. He has way too much confidence in that gauntlet. Judging by its design, Midoriya was thinking when he was interrupted. "Die scum," shouted Bakugo as he pulled the pin. A massive concentrated high-speed explosion came towards Midoriya. "Shit, that's going to hurt and the street is too narrow to dodge. I'll have to take it head on. I hope those improvements I made work," shouted Midoriya as he prepared himself and took the blast head on, only covering his face. "Hey, how did you like that fucker?" said Bakugo as he held onto his now sore arm. "Ouch, now that's dangerous. You could have killed me if I was just any other villain." "No way. You dash," Bakugo choked up. Midoriya's costume held up to the explosion and only had a couple burn marks but nothing too major. His hood, however, was completely burned off, exposing his green hair and green eyes. "Shit, once the dust clears he's going to see me. I have to end this now," Midoriya thought as he put all his strength into his legs and dashed at Bakugo at incredible speed. Bakugo was looking at the dust, and for a split second he saw a green blur emerge and his vision became blurry. He had just gotten punched square in the jaw at full force. "Fuck, I have to regroup," said Midoriya as he began to go towards Shigaraki's location. "What's going on?" "Kurogiri?" asked Midoriya as he arrived at the scene. "One of the students slipped from my grasp. He most likely is on his way to alert the other pros," explained Kurogiri to Midoriya. "Is that Eraserhead on the floor?" Midoriya asked, surprised to see the hero beaten to a bloody pulp. Towering above him was Inomu. "It's game over, huh? If you weren't a warp gate, I'd crush you into pieces," said Shigaraki as he scratched his neck and began mumbling to himself. Midoriya realized two students in the water trying to watch in secret what was happening before them. "What are they doing here? Do they want to die?" Midoriya said to himself as he began walking towards the two students, pretending not to see them. "Hey Kurogiri, I'm going to do a little recon," said Midoriya as he kept walking. Kurogiri nodded in confirmation in return. Midoriya knew despite Shigaraki's appearance his quirk and speed were dangerous. In the water, the green-haired girl Tsuyu Azui and the grape-looking boy Minoru Mineta began to get nervous as Midoriya got closer and closer. Midoriya reached the edge of the water and turned his back, pretending not to see them both. "You two, if you don't want to die here and now, I suggest you group with the rest of your classmates," Midoriya said, facing Shigaraki, who was still having a breakdown. Tsuyu was surprised at the villain's offer. "Why help us? Why not kill us?" asked the green-haired girl, genuinely confused and afraid. Mineta was far too afraid to say anything. "You're too young. And killing just isn't my thing. Now leave," said Midoriya as he began to walk back towards Shigaraki and Kurogiri. Tsuyu quickly grabbed the Mineta and swam back to the front of the dome. "He seemed about our age. Why is he a villain? Why did he help us?" The girl pondered as she glanced back to see the green-haired villain. "We won't stand a chance against a dozen pros. So let's go kill some of his pride before we go," said Shigaraki as he let out a small chuckle. Shigaraki began to run towards the front of the dome with Nomu eyes set on killing Udata students. Kurogiri and Midoriya quickly followed behind. "He's just going to leave Eraserhead? Fine by me," thought Midoriya as he looked at the group of students who were now all together, all except three. Midoriya and his group arrived at the bottom of a set of stairs. Just above them was the group of students. "Now then, dash," but before Shigaraki could even finish, a large boom could be heard in the direction of the students. A large muscular man appeared from the smoke. It was All Might. All Might quickly dashed down the stairs and swiftly took out the few remaining low-rank villains. Ignoring Midoriya and his group, All Might ran towards Aizawa, quickly picking him up and returning him to the group of students to look over him. Midoriya couldn't help but let out a smile at the sight of All Might and his quirk. "You have caused too much pain. Two students are missing." "Where are they?" yelled All Might at the group of three standing before him. "I think I left them both in a ditch somewhere." "Don't worry, they aren't dead, but they sure are in pain," said Midoriya coldly while looking at All Might straight in the eyes. "You!" All Might shouted as his blood grew cold at the sight of two students being near death and bloodied. Shigaraki, however, let out a cracked and evil smile at Midoriya's comment to All Might. But before anything else could be said, All Might moved like sound, hitting Shigaraki and Kurogiri away. Midoriya, however, saw his attack and barely dodged by a hair. Nomu, however, was idle as if he was turned off. Midoriya quickly backed up back into his group. "What? He dodged? If he was able to keep up with me, I wonder in what state my students are in. And what quirk does he possess?" All Might thought as he looked at the green-haired villain. "I will bring you three to justice. It's my duty as the symbol of peace," All Might said as he dashed towards the group at high speed. "Nomu," said Shigaraki as the monster quickly stepped in front and looked at All Might, who was coming towards them. The plan was for Nomu to restrain All Might so Kurogiri could use his mist portal to cut All Might in half, but Nomu and All Might began to exchange blows, instantly causing massive shockwaves and air pressure. Without students around he can go all out, Midoriya thought as he held on to a nearby tree watching the fight unfold before him. Shigaraki, we aren't going to be able to get close to him anytime soon, shouted Midoriya as he looked over to Shigaraki. Shut up, I know. Nomu won't lose, he was made to beat All Might, responded Shigaraki as he watched Nomu begin to be pushed back. Made to defeat me, scoffed All Might as he began to punch Nomu with even greater speed. Now villains, have you heard these words before? Go beyond plus ultra, yelled All Might triumphantly as he delivered a devastating blow to Nomu, sending him flying out of the dome. In my prime I would have ended it in 5 punches. Now then villains, shall we end this? Well, what's wrong? Come and get me if you can, said All Might, putting on his most intimidating face as the dust settled around him. You're out of time, and that's the best bluff you got, thought Midoriya as he looked at All Might and to Shigaraki, who backed up in response to All Might's words. Midoriya knew All Might's time limit had already run out. Shigaraki, we have to retreat. If that student got away, it's only a matter of time. The rest of the pros get here and put us in the ground, explained Midoriya as he looked over to Shigaraki, who was scratching at his neck furiously. What? No, the final boss is right in front of us, we can still kill him, responded Shigaraki as he got ready to attack. Kurogiri, be prepared to retreat, said Midoriya. Kurogiri nodded in confirmation. In that moment Shigaraki and Kurogiri attacked All Might, only to be interrupted by a bullet piercing Shigaraki's hand. They having a long-range pro, he can home in his bullets. You won't be able to finish the job, let's go Shigaraki, said Midoriya as he looked at the teachers at the front. Gore, fine. Kurogiri, let's get out of dash, Shigaraki said before he was interrupted by 2 bullets each hitting one of his legs. Listen to me next time, said Midoriya as he began to be engulfed by mist along with Shigaraki. Shut up Deku, Shigaraki yelled in response. And just like that they warped out of UA. So his name is Deku, thought All Might as he watched the young villain warp away. Next time, the truth will shake the entire community of heroes. A group meeting is called to discuss the latest attack on U.A. And that is the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.